Hi, and welcome back to What the Tech. I'm Becky Cross, Vice President of Client Partnerships here at Fit Technologies. And I am thrilled today, Fred, because we are recording our first ever video podcast, which means listeners, we're going to be on YouTube.
That's right.
And second to that, I'm so excited that we have this incredible podcast studio now with soundproofing. We're so official.
That's right.
I feel very official. I think I need a golden microphone.
We've graduated. We're adults now.
Yeah, this is grown-up stuff here.
Is.
It's very exciting.
Yeah.
And what better topic to talk about in our first ever video podcast than good enough?
That's right.
Obviously, in IT, waiting for the perfect answer can sometimes be even riskier than going slow. And without over-analyzing or over-engineering, every solution has to be approached differently. So, Fred, as our Chief Strategy Officer, I would love to talk to you today about good enough.
Yeah, I think it's a great topic, especially when you think about everybody's decision-making process, and some of us could be a little more perfectionistic on that scale. It's a good topic to have, and as it relates to IT decisions, it makes a big impact for sure.
Yeah, and honestly, in thinking about this episode, it's like every single piece of IT, there may be completely different approaches and timelines and paces. And so anyway, let's dive in.
Sure.
I think first I want to ask, how do you distinguish between those decisions on perfection and pace?
Yeah. I think perfection and pace, those two extremes. I would look at the other dimension is like the timing. Like if the impact is really high and we're waiting for a long time, it's going to cause problems. Like if I know that we're driving and it's going to go over the edge of a cliff because if I don't turn left or right, we're going to go off, we need to make that decision sooner than later. And so left or right, which is better, doesn't matter. It's better than the status quo, right? And I think many of the IT decisions, we're looking at what is the status quo? Where is that leading us to? Versus either of these two decisions might be a better one. And so I think that's the first thing is the order of importance as it relates to impact. Maybe not be this detrimental impact of going in the cliff, but it might be the difference between a 10 or 15% boost in productivity or a reduction of risk. And so if we're waiting for that perfect option, which one is it? Is it left or right? The answer is either, because status quo is not that good. So that's the first thing I look at.
It's a good point.
Yeah. I think moving on from there, it's, how much of an investment is it? So if it's a very expensive investment, we might want to get it right because you don't want to have to redo something that's expensive to do. So if I'm making a decision and I'm going to make this sizable investment and then I find out it's not the right path or there's something that's a lot better, it feels there's a lot of emotional obstacles of uprooting and making a shift. So if you're making a platform decision, maybe a little bit steadier. But I think time is something that's important. It helps us that there is no such thing as always perfect forever. So even when I make the best decision over a longer period of time, I'm going to have to make adaptations or even wholesale changes. You think about people that chose to go with BlackBerry decades ago. That was the platform of choice. And maybe that was better than the Palm Pilots and that was better than the other options they had available. But at a certain point in time, that no longer remained the same. And so even when we make a really good decision, it's important to realize that it's not a forever decision. Technology evolves so rapidly.
And wouldn't you say that's especially true in the tech space? Just because of how quickly things are evolving.
Yeah. I mean, technology is evolving so quickly that the information we're making decisions on might be 2 or 3 years old because the research hasn't come out. And so some of the best things that we could do is have peer groups. Also, having a really good trusted advisor that says, here's what I've seen across dozens of organizations, what's working well, what's not. I think largely you can make better decisions when you have principle-based decision-making, meaning we're going to do this type of thing for these types of reasons. Then the tools just get swapped in and out.
So not attaching the decision to the tool, the brand.
That's right.
And rather in attaching it to outcomes.
That's right. Exactly. Outcome-based decision-making as opposed to, well, Microsoft always does it right. Now, there's certain things you don't want to go up against the hill against, but oftentimes the disruptors, you're looking at that outcome principle-based decision-making to say, this is the right platform, this is the right decision for these reasons. And you can defend that 2 or 3 years from now. Things might change, but what wouldn't change is this platform is doing X, Y, and Z for us. Maybe somebody else is out there doing it better now.
Yeah. I wonder, your background deep in engineering experience, and now you're not only our strategist, but many of our clients' strategists as well.
Yeah.
So you're an engineer. I can ask engineers this question.
Yeah.
For the engineers I've worked with, there's a different pace.
Yes.
There's a little bit different level of thinking that goes into every decision.
Yes.
And I wonder, as somebody who teeters both lines, where do you see engineers over architecting solutions or decision makers?
Yeah.
And where do you wish you could push?
Yeah. Well, as a full disclosure activator, the Clifton Strengths, that's one of my top 5, and I know we share that. I was definitely, as an engineer, a lot faster paced than many of those, especially in a large organization.
Sure.
And so I think the things that engineers really want, and their biggest fear, is that something isn't going to work properly. So we want that in certain engineering designs. Like when I'm getting on a plane, I want to know that that engineer triple checked every single component, and that's going to be a safe experience for me. But I think when it comes to technology, there's a lot less black and white. It's much more gray. And so engineers can sometimes overthink and spend a long time because that's their predisposition. And we have to balance that. We also don't want to be ready, fire, aim. But we do have to be, at a good clip of pace. And I think that's the piece that many engineers, need to hear and want to operate from. They're coming from a good space, but that's the challenge. For me, I think a lot of it is making decisions at a high level of what are the things that we want to have from an outcome perspective, what are the risks that we're wanting to address, and then saying, these are the things that, shortlisted. These are the 3 things that we could do, maybe the 2 things that we could do, and then make a decision, and then we'll figure it out. I think one of the things that we've seen that has been really helpful with the Silicon Valley tech startup culture is failing fast. And so when we're able to, and they even say, I've heard saying falling, right? We don't need to fail. We just need to fall. We skin our knees a little bit. Nobody's dying. Nobody's, detrimental, like out for the count. Like we trip, we fall, we skin our knees, we get back up, we learn from that. And I think there's a lot to be said about learning lots of lessons over time, as opposed to trying to get that big guess right the first time out of the gate.
Yeah. And I want to zoom in on topics that are hard to avoid: cybersecurity and AI.
Yeah.
I know, put $1 in the jar, right?
That's right. Yeah.
But I want to zoom in. Is there a good enough scenario with your approach to cybersecurity or your approach to AI?
Yeah. With each of those, I mean, the opportunities are plentiful. Like there's no such thing as perfect, first of all. The second one is, I would say, there's just always layers of better. And at a certain point, the investment could outweigh the reward that you're getting from that investment. That's why at Fit, we really test a lot of these out. We put them through the engineering ranks. We vet these products and solutions, and we say, here's a tried true approach, a combination that works really well, a formula that can be adopted inside of any organization, and take them from good to great. Cybersecurity, I would say first, we look at not having duplication of services. There's a lot that could be overlapped. And so we want to have optimize where we bundle the things that can make sense to be bundled. And they're going to interact really well and have a higher response rate in terms of catching and stopping and thwarting those bad actors. As it relates to AI, so much is changing so quickly. But I would say one of the encouraging things I'm seeing is there is almost like this aggregation approach that Microsoft is taking, where they say, we really like what OpenAI is doing. Let's go ahead and bring that into the fold. That's what Copilot initially was. Oh, we really like what Claude and Anthropic are doing. Let's bring that into the fold and have that work with not only chat, but also with the interactions of Excel and PowerPoint, as Microsoft is launching their E7 in May. And I think there's lots of technology aggregators like that, where they're taking the pieces and components and saying, we don't need to build this ship all on our own. We're going to take the components that make a lot of sense. Fit does that same approach. Microsoft does that same approach. And I think that's really a winning formula, as opposed to picking one player and saying, this is it, and they have the end all be all, because there is no perfect in AI. And it's going to change so quickly. What we recommend now versus 3 years from now is going to dramatically change.
And something I think I'm hearing kind of woven throughout this, tell me if I'm onto something. It seems like what we're saying is good enough is not about making that decision, right? You have these selection processes, however fast or slow. Good enough isn't about making that decision. It's about your evaluation of that decision over time. Mm-hmm. Therefore, good enough would be set it and forget about it. And then technology changes at the pace that it is.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
I think it's something around that. That's what I'm kind of seeing a theme, right?
Yeah. So it's like, as you're saying, it's like the technology is going to evolve. So good enough is we're looking at what's going to achieve the outcomes that we are looking to achieve. And instead of saying, but wait, but there's got to be one better, like, 'cause there always will be better. And tomorrow, there will be one better. And so we're making good decisions, strong decisions, even great decisions, but they're not perfect. And we're making, because perfect doesn't exist, we make really good to great decisions, and we're constantly challenging that. And that's where being on a platform of sorts, like we build this platform that we bring to our clients and say, we're challenging that on a regular basis. And organizations that make decisions now and then adapt changes and morph that over time are going to be in a far better position as it relates to cybersecurity or AI than saying, I'm going to sit back on the sidelines and wait. It's kind of like practice. Well, I don't want to get out and pick your sport of choice. I don't want to get out there and play until I've studied really, really good. And it's like, there's a point where you just need to get out on the field. You got to give it a go. You get the feel of what that's like and get that response right away. People that sit on the sidelines as it relates to AI are going to be, over the next 3 to 5 years, wondering what happened. It's just inevitable.
And like, couldn't you take some of that power away too by just naming up front, this is our 3-year tool, this is our 1-year tool, this is our 10-year tool?
100%. Yeah.
And you're not stuck to that. But if you just identify that, and here's the outcomes we're going to achieve, then good enough is appropriate, because you know that lens is going to be a constant evolution and growth. Yeah,
that was a really good lens we used at FIT when we were talking in our annual meeting. We were like, well, is this a 10-year platform? We're saying, here's platforms we're running on today. And the question I posed is this something that's going to carry us over our 10-year period? And some of them, his answer is yes. Many of them, the answer is no. And so it's like, we don't have to make a change now, but we should start that process of, what does it look like? What are the 10-year platforms that are out there? And what are the guiding principles that'll help us choose that? As an example, is it an AI-friendly platform? Does it have MCP capabilities where I can tie that into AI? And if the answer is no, it doesn't meet these guidelines, then we start looking and start exploring.
Yeah, it's a thoughtful, proactive approach. But what I think we're both agreeing to is that good enough isn't the enemy. Inactivity is.
That's right. Yeah, status quo is really the enemy. Now, if we're picking status quo and we validated it, that's fine. But unchecked status quo, that's the real enemy.
Yeah.
That's the real risk.
Fred, put that on a t-shirt. Also, great to have you here on our first ever podcast, video recorded studio experience. As always, very insightful content here.
Appreciate it.
And listeners and viewers, if you'd like to learn more about a thoughtful IT services approach, click the link in our profile. And as always, be sure to like and follow wherever you listen to your podcasts. We'll see you next time.